he's professor of cosmology at Indian Institute of Astrophysics, also one of our advisor. And ma'am is kind enough to accept our meet the scientist first episode request over the kind enough accept thank you so much. And so ngasi program si han so and we are also like going live in the YouTube, so those people can watch it in the later also. And yeah, so without further ado, we will start the today talk. And so I mean, basically, first of all, I want to introduce myself. I'm Ronaldo. Currently, I'm now in Japan, and so as you know, Manipur Astronomical Society, you can know more about the. Yes, so recording will be available. So we can check out our website for more. And anyway, I'm also putting in the YouTube. You can check out there. So today, we are very excited to be here with you today. And I mean, we got lots of registration. When we check the registration list, we have students from high school to the PhD scholar, teacher, also researcher, and the professional across India the labor or outside India the labor. So join that is very amazing. And before we start to talk with ma'am, I would like to say something about why we started this Meet the Scientist episode. So the series is coming from very simple idea that the young people like undergrad or high school like especially Manipur very Northeast single question Manipur don't always got to hear the real stories the scientific career the opportunities like further study to problem so but the good thing is that Manipur Masa or Manipur everywhere the site is very happy. And so one goal is to bring and share their story, struggles, and the movement that changes everything. And we are very fortunate that we cannot have asked for a better person to start this series. Our guest is Ma'am Pravabati Chingangbam. As I said before, she is professor at Indian Institute of Astrophysics. As most of you may know, I think already may know this institute is one of the prestigious institutes for astrophysics. And she's working on understanding the universe. And what makes ma'am story is unique or her story journey started from Manipur. Okay, Manipur started she went to the she did her PhD in Delhi, and also went for postdoc in Korea and others, and finally she's now in the IIA Bangalore. And ma'am, thank you so much for being here with us today. We are truly honored. Ma'am, like I will not speak too much, so ma'am I am journey I know I have something. So at beginning ma'am, please tell us about the childhood and the early years. I did ma'am come yum the kai by the how have it done.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Ronaldo. It's my honor to be speaking to all of you here. I'm very delighted that there is a large audience here, and I'm very glad to share my journey. So I grew up in Imphal, in an area called Khurai Thangzam Laikai Chingangbam Berak. So and I studied in Little Flower School till class 10. And from there, I went to study in Delhi in 1989. So a friend of mine had gone to study there in a school there, and with the help of her brother, I also got admission in that school, and I studied class 11 and 12 there. And from there, I went on to, actually, I was in Miranda House for a few months. I was studying chemistry. I didn't quite like it, so I gave it up. And I went back home. My parents were not very happy with that. But then the next year, I joined for physics in Jamia Millia, and I did BSc, MSc, and PhD in Jamia Millia. So that was my journey, the start of my journey in Manipur.
Oh, actually, I can't remember chemistry the sorry.
I'm not able to hear
So yeah,
you.
sorry. Like even I did not. I come there the ma'am chemistry the physics on top. That's very exciting to hear, and so before coming to all these things, ma'am, the beginning the but ma'am was happy to panbi gray. Like how is like audiences are na the yawi sing so interesting around I ma'am say like Manipur class kind of the little flower tambir head. How is a young ma'am Pravabati like I comment okay class top tarakra aduga I think everything she figure out I think oh figure out talk to the high with the chemistry tamaga physics like how is like ma'am not high school or tamaga ma'am some top tara lakra comment okay.
Okay, so I can tell you how my interest in science grew. Um, so yeah, I think I stood first from class 3 onwards, and I remember being very when we went to class 3. I remember the teacher asking who stood first in the class, and I was too shy to stand up, so I never revealed that I stood first. Uh, then I used to stand first, but my interest when I was young in school, my main interest was physics. Not physics, sorry, mathematics. So I really loved maths problems. And one of the main reasons for that was that we had a lekaigi ibung haitareko. We had a person who was our neighbor, my brother's friend, and he was studying mathematics, and he used to teach me during the winter break after the end of each class, and he would make me work out all the problems of the next class, which was to start. So I would finish the course during that time, and occasionally he would give me more tough problems, which he would say, okay, no need to quickly solve it, you think it over, these are very hard problems, you think it over and then you come to me when you get the solution. So I had the taste for doing research from that experience, so I'm very grateful to him. His name is Munindro, Oda Munindro, and that was very, very important for my formative years. Then the second factor was that I come from a very large family. There are 10 of us siblings, and I am the youngest, which meant that I was generally left alone by everybody. Okay. So my my parents were a bit old by the time they had me, and so because there are so many children, you can't give so much attention to each child, right?
Yes.
So I was left alone, and my a major source of entertainment for me was to go search for the textbooks that was used by my elder brothers and sisters, and I spent a lot of time reading all their books and so on, and that was a great. Actually, now I recall that it was a lot of fun experience just to explore what are the books that are there in the house. Then I also made friends with a group of friends who were very into reading books and studies. And I think for any young child, it is important. Peer pressure is very important, right?
Yes.
So I was lucky that I met friends with this group of friends, and we all liked reading very much. And so reading, the habit of reading was developed very early in life. Okay, from like class 8, 9, we would live through comics. We would spend all our pocket money buying comic books, and from comic books we graduated to little storybooks, and so that is how I developed an interest. So when I was in school, my main interest was maths, as well as I was very interested in literature. So because I studied in an English medium school, the books that I could read, stories I could read, were mostly in English. However, I also read little bit of Manipuri literature. So I used to find the words very exciting, the flow of words, how you join them together. To me, it is almost like, I don't know, music.
Oh.
And I think there is a common theme in loving maths and literature, because maths is also the language of physics, right, of nature.
Yes.
That is how we express nature. So that is how my formative years were like. And I think both my parents wanted me to go far. So that was also very important. But then, in terms of career and so on, I think you guys live in a different time compared to the times we lived in. So we didn't have much pressure about you should become this or you should become. At least I didn't have much pressure, and I was left to explore many things. And I never, honestly speaking, I never really thought about what I will become. I just enjoyed reading and maths, and that was about it. So in those days, also, we didn't have much exposure about what career options were there and so on. Most parents would be thinking their child will become a doctor or engineer or administrative IAS maybe, which I think has not changed that much. Even today's parents are probably like that.
That's true.
Yeah. So I was lucky that I was not much pressured, but my father wanted me to be a doctor, but I didn't quite like biology, so I dropped it. So finally he agreed. He minded it in the beginning, but he was okay in the end. So that was the time I grew up in. And then I went off to Delhi to study. So if you remember, this was 1989, which was the height of insurgency.
Oh.
It was a very, very hard time when there were lots of killings and bomb blasts and so on. And at that time, I think that was like the phase when parents wanted to send their children outside to get uninterrupted education in a peaceful environment, and in the hope that their lives will be better, and in the hope that Manipur will be better. So you can imagine the amount of economy, all the money that went out from Manipur, from the salaries. Parents were struggling and so on, and yet they send their children outside to study in that hope. So that is how I went to Delhi, and then from there I went on to study. But then I thought, okay, I love physics, I love maths, but I didn't think of becoming a scientist or anything. But then I did not want to do maths for the sake of maths. I wanted to use it as an expression for something. But I was fortunate that I had that clarity when I was young. And that is where how I landed up in physics.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. So, ma'am, you have given that, like, I think, first of all, when we started something, the important is that someone who inspires. Ma'am, was by correctly saying. So, and also, it's great that ma'am family is so convinced of the support of that is also very, very important.
Yeah, it's very important.
And so even I wanted to hang like some people's like I want to becoming this, and my parents wants to become me to become engineer or doctor or something. So there is many participant so I think they also face this kind of problem, and I think this is we have to convince the parents. So journey si lakte hain kan ma'am I think conversation si yamna phajana kena tawse how, like, I think many of them want to ask how I should convince my parents. So, ma'am, what is your advice to them that how to convince their parents if they want to pursue something? Yeah.
I think so. I'll take the viewpoint that I'm speaking to the young person. Yes. Okay. So I think before convincing your parents, the first thing is you should know yourself very well. So if you are sure, if you have thought through, if you love something and you are sure of it, you will find a way to convince. You argue for it, why you love that thing and why you will do well in that direction in which you want to go. So I think the first step, even before you convince your parent, is yourself. But because when we are saying this, we are assuming that you have the liberty to have these choices, right? Not everyone will have that choice. So suppose you are from a financially not very stable background, then your first priority will be to be financially independent. So you may not have that option. So I think, since now when I was younger, maybe I would argue for only for young people's point of view. But now that I'm older, I can also see the parents' point of view. I think parents would like the children to have a comfortable, self-sufficient lifestyle, right?
Yes.
So they don't want you to struggle and have an uncertain future. And that is sort of I think that is what drives parents in that to say that, okay, you do this or you do that. So that is where you have to argue to the parent. Okay. And also remember that young people will know more. I mean, in today's environment, there is a lot more information compared to how it was in my time, and which your parents will be like my age, and they may not have all the information. So you have to talk to each other. You have to. I know that in Manipur, people can start. Parents can start shouting, "Why are you not following my order?" And children will get angry and so on. But it's very important for both sides to learn to negotiate calmly and listen. So that listening part is probably a stage for which all of us have to put more effort in.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. That is very convincing, and I think when possible, we have to convince how that's very important. And I think most of our participants also may know how if you want to convince your parents, firstly you have to show why you are interested, and like show them that you are interested properly. Anyway, thank you so much. And like today conversation will be like, I think we will not go very deep into the science, what is cosmology things, because this is mainly trying to how to reach those stages and the journey. So, and coming back to the decision, second decision, ma'am told that you started chemistry and you switched to the physics. And also one of the participants asked, did you ever feel self-doubt while pursuing physics, and how you deal with that? So from jumping from chemistry to the physics, and doing the PhD in the physics in the cosmology, how was the journey, and how you find those kind of like feel any self-doubt when you pursue those things?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the question. Yeah. Of course, doubt is a part of the journey, right? So all of us have doubts in our own abilities, first of all, and then we are some of us are very shy in talking, and communication skills are poor, and we may not know how to speak English, or if you are in North India, Hindi, for example. So doubt is a constant companion. So you should accept that is going to be always there. So of course I had a lot of doubt, but what I would do is I would look inside. So because I had a lot of time growing up as a child to be alone, I developed a kind of habit to keep, I was heavily into daydreams as well as analyzing people and things, issues and so on by myself. And so when I had self-doubt in my own ability, I know what I can do and cannot do, but I know that I have to learn more. Then I would look inward and I would find what is it that I want to do. That's the question I used to ask myself. And of course, there were my first year and second years, I was quite a disaster. Okay, I didn't do well at all. Because, there are many factors. You are young, you are finding your own self, what you want to do, and so on. So I didn't do well. But by third year, I think it was a letter from my father which helped me. So he said, what happened to that daughter of mine who used to be so brilliant? Oh. And I think that brought me back on track. And then I went back to my basics of wanting to do maths with physics. So I think third year is when I made a decision to go for a PhD. But again, I was in Jamia, and in these days I hear that Jamia is like a top 5 university and so on. But in those days, information was very rare, and I would not put it as the best place. and I did not have access to much information. So I didn't even know whether research institutes are and how do you apply, and all this information I didn't have. So in basic, but I made a decision that I'll work very hard now, because physics, I really loved quantum mechanics when I was in undergraduate, and I loved mathematical physics. So I decided, okay, these are the things I will focus very well and learn. And then I think another important factor was the person who became my PhD supervisor. So he was our teacher, and Pankaj Sharan, his name is, and he was well known as an excellent teacher, an extremely kind person. All the students will remember him as a very kind person. So when I was in MSc first year, he decided to give some extra lectures on advanced quantum mechanics, and I used to attend that. And he told me that you're good. Why don't you join me for a PhD? And that was it. I didn't even think twice about exploring other places and so on. I just decided I'll work with him. So, but then my PhD problem was very, very hard. He gave me option of two subjects, and I chose the one which was very hard. Okay, so, and it is very hard because the problem is that of formulating a new way of formulating quantum mechanics using differential geometry, which is extremely rare, and probably at this stage, now that I am on the other side and I have many PhD students, I would say it was a very risky topic to take up because it's very open-ended. Okay, so I had to learn a lot of the maths, but I chose it. I mean, I don't blame my supervisor. I chose it because I wanted to do that maths. But it taught me many things, took me to all over the place. So I learned a bit of high energy physics, quantum field theory, but I learned a fair bit of maths and so on. So I think I just saw a question for how I went to cosmology. So this is what I'm saying is what will take me to cosmology. So by the time I finished my PhD, then I had this other teacher whose name is Muhammad Sami. And he was very, very interested in cosmology. And he had, because of family pressure, he had not been very active in research, and he was just get into, very seriously into it. And one day he came to me and said, okay, your PhD is about to finish. Why don't you do a problem with me? So I said, okay. And then he gave me a problem in cosmology. And that was to solve a model of inflation. So we did this with Tabish. And that was the start of my journey in cosmology. I never even thought I will land up in cosmology, okay? But what happened was, because of my PhD work, I got a postdoctoral position in Harishchandra Research Institute, and it was in the string theory group. Okay, so in the string theory group, so now this was in this time, early 2000s. This was a time when there was a lot of explosion of data it was the start of the time of a lot of data being available and so on. And that was a time when you can test models which come from string theory or particle physics and so on, using the data that is available from cosmology. So this was the cosmic microwave background data. And this was a great time to hear about all the exciting questions, and a connection between people who do experiments, people who deal with data, and people who do theory. They sort of came together. And the new subject, actually, there was around the time when astroparticle physics came up as a new direction, which combines astrophysics, cosmology, data side with the theoretical physics side. So that is how I got into cosmology. But then I think, so that was also the time, I'm going to say something slightly negative for the theory perspective. So that was a time when the confines of theoretical framework. Okay, people just gave up confines of theoretical framework and started building models phenomenologically. So the word we use, for those of you who are not familiar, is phenomenology, which means, okay, I am just going to, I have my data, I want to explain it, so I am going to start with some model. So I'm making distinction between model and theory. Okay, so that was the time, and very soon I became very unhappy about that situation, because I wanted to understand now the data better. Okay, it was not enough to just tweak some equations here and there, and I wanted to get into the data. What is it that we are, what inference are we drawing? So this was a very, those years for the in the HRI, Harish Chandra Research Institute, there was a time when I was like breaking out into my own as a researcher and finding my own questions, and making my own direction. Okay, so that is how I got into this. So I decided to go towards more data side. But again, I think a lot of our life, lot of our trajectory is luck, I think. So I was very lucky at that time to meet this professor from Korea, and he had a question which I was also getting very, I wanted to know what it is. So, and that is the question of non-Gaussianity, for those of you who may be knowing about non-Gaussianity. And so, at that time, when I was in HRI, this non-Gaussianity became, this word non-Gaussianity became a sort of very buzzword. So I would go to string theory people and ask, do you understand what this is? I didn't get any satisfactory answer. I went to cosmology people, no answer. Data people, no answer. So I said, okay, I'll go to get to the bottom of this. Okay. And my route to getting to the bottom of this would be through understanding the data more. Because you can't just build, castles in the sky without foundations, right? So data is the foundation. So I met this professor, Professor Chingangbam Park, and because of this shared interest, I got a position with him. And there, basically, so it is important that I was already sort of mature and independent at that time, because he was mostly working on large-scale structure, which means this Sloan Digital Sky Survey was going on, which was taking images of galaxy, taking photos of galaxies, and he was basically focusing on that. And for my work, cosmic microwave background, I had to basically do it on my own. And it was a big transition for me because, I think most of you will know that in India, the tradition has been that we are all very good in theory, but we are not in data. That was the older tradition. Now, I'm very happy to see that it's now changing. The situation is very different. So many of you in the audience are examples of that. And so that is how, I went to the data side and I learned about the simulations. So the simulations, actually, I knew very little about the simulations also, but I just put my head down and I worked like mad. So if you want to reach anywhere without hard work, you're not going to be there to reach. So I put in that hard work, and I'm happy to say that after that I did learn something, and it brought me back to India, and the work I'm doing now is a culmination of all these different, aspects of my experience, research experience.
Sorry, I should cover the word. Sorry, thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am has explained everything, like the journey from like PhD, how she started the cosmology and then went to the South Korea. And here I would like to also say that, I mean, ma'am mentioned that like when journey is that we feel lots of fear, right? Once we reach some stage and the people think that okay, he or her journey may be very easy to climb, but it's not like that. Everyone has a struggle in his own terms. And ma'am told that fear and also self-doubt and everything was happening in everyone's life, but the most important part is we don't give up, and we just work hard, never giving up when we want to achieve something. That is very inspiring, ma'am. Thank you. And yeah, coming back to that, I also want to know more about, because I think uh, like PhD life is very like yesterday also I was talking with some of our members, and they asked me. I finished my PhD 1 year back, and they asked me, do you feel any stress and how you cope that? And I told her, okay, I told him that every PhD, I think they face this kind of stress during, I mean, writing paper or getting the research results or something. So I think many of the our participants, maybe some of them are wants to pursue PhD, and some of them already in the PhD, and some of them are just undergrad. So uh, I would like to take the advice from the ma'am. Like, so we face lots of stress and anxiety during this PhD timing, and how, what is ma'am advice? Like, ma'am is now supervising lots of students, and how will you advise to them that, okay, you should do this, something like, so please, yeah, I think most of them may want to hear about this kind of situation.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So for people who are just starting out, I think the advice is different for people who are starting out and who are already into it. So stress and anxiety is a constant part, like I said. So I think on you try to build your soft skills. Okay, make friends. It's important to have a network where to whom you can share. You can shout. Maybe you had a fight with your supervisor. You can, abuse your supervisor to your friend, and it doesn't mean that it is long lasting, but it will relieve your stress. So that is for people who are already in PhD. But I think for those who are starting out, choose your supervisor very wisely. It's very important. So it's you remember that it's a long term association that you have with the supervisor. So it is good to have somebody with whom you're on roughly similar wavelength, so that you can talk it out when you have problems. So that is advice about supervisor. Then I think I wrote down a couple of points which I want to share at the end. Maybe I'll share my slide.
Yes, that would be nice. Thank you.
Yeah. So the anxiety. So having the right supervisor will reduce the stress. Then you have to also be very careful of the topic in which you initiate your PhD. Okay. So choose something which is so first of all, when you're choosing the supervisor, also choose somebody who's active, because the enthusiasm and energy of the supervisor will rub off on you. And two supervisors, I would say, choose students who are also similar, because I know for us also as supervisors, it matters a lot if the students are enthusiastic and so on. If you're like vaguely half-hearted and okay, I only want to do this kind of thing and I'm not interested in that, then I would say don't come to me. Okay, because when you are doing research, the first thing is you have to formulate the question very sharply. So right, when people talk to each other, if you ask some vague question, you will not get an answer. The other person will not be able to answer. So the formulation of the question in the beginning should be sharp, and so that it can lead to an answer. And that role, the duty of that is lies on both the student as well as the supervisor. Together, you have to formulate that. So if you do that, it will reduce, I think, fair bit of stress of doing a PhD, where you don't have to struggle too much about whether which direction I should go and so on. So in the beginning, if you have it sorted out, it is a big help. Okay. Then the second thing is your attitude. Okay. So the student, if you are like, if the teacher gives you to review some paper and you are like dilly-dallying and not doing your job, you're not doing your job. And that will lead to stress between you and the supervisor, and your work will be delayed and so on. So a commitment from the student is extremely important. Of course, it is both sides, but I think it's more from the student side, because the PhD work is his or her own. See, the supervisor may have thought, okay, this area is interesting to work at. But if the supervisor already knows how to solve it, why would the supervisor give it to the student to solve it? Okay. So take responsibility, and again, that will decrease stress. So if you don't take the responsibility and you are expecting the supervisor will spoon feed you all the time, that I have seen a lot of students having a lot of stress because of that, because the work is not progressing, time is passing, and so on, and it adds up to stress. So the responsibility is for both sides. But since I am speaking to you from the side of the supervisor, advising you, I would say be committed and take responsibility. You know that it's going to be a painful, long journey. So be warned, and many of it is going to. So when young students come for PhD, you are all starry-eyed, and you think that okay, one fine day, one bulb will glow in my head, and I will come up with a brilliant idea. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. All the brilliant ideas come to the mind, which is already prepared. So after doing the hard work only, the brilliant ideas will come. So, and the brilliant idea, the hard work, if only the supervisor is doing, it won't come to you. The point is that it should come to you. So, so this is this is advice. But apart from that, just I know that these days there's a lot more pressure, I think, now compared to the olden days, because of maybe information overload. So I think you need a network of friends, and also choose a supervisor to whom you can speak. You should be able to talk freely. Yeah.
Thank you
So
so
this
much.
is what
Yeah, I think this is very, very, very useful and information. I think participant I think they will not get those things. So it's very important to choose the supervisors. I also have this experience that I heard lots of my colleagues that okay, I have this problem, but my professor was very, very good and kind enough that I can do my research very well when I face problems. So he helps me a lot. So I think choosing professor also, it's like it's not only one side. It's like both sides are, as what ma'am suggested, is very important. And so those, please note about this. And
I just want to add
yes,
one point. One point is this is about when you are young, you tend to sometimes you are scared of the supervisor, and you are unable to express freely. Okay, so that can cause a communication gap. So I think don't fear, don't fear. Express. It's important to speak up. And you will often see, this is not only for research, in general in life. If you are very worried about something and it's a big burden, and you talk about it to somebody close, it lightens, right? So maybe you are worrying about a problem which is not so big from the viewpoint of the supervisor. So this communication is very important.
well, thank you so much, ma'am. I think yeah, that is very, very important. And next coming before we go to the beyond and going beyond, but I will also want to like ask some questions, like as maybe participant also interesting. So many of them ask like, is it how is the difference between the doing PhD in India and the outside, and also like having as ma'am said, that networking is very important. It's not only when marketing alternatives. I think in academic also networking is very, very important. And for me, I was lucky that I can travel many places and have this kind of exposure. So and the ma'am also have experience in the like Korea and South Korea. So ma'am give advice to like how is like doing. Many of them ask me also like, should I do my PhD in India or should I continue, should I go abroad to do the PhD, and is it very hard to be there and something like that. So ma'am, like what ma'am can like advise to them or like give suggestions to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the advice for that will depend on the personality of the student.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it will depend on the student's personality quite strongly. So, so I think India has very good places where you can do PhD. It depends on the subject, of course, which institution, which university you go to, and so on. It depends. But for India, there are good places, and it's not like anything. Any university or institution abroad is good. What I find nowadays is that Indian students, many of them find it difficult to clear the entrance exams, but they find it easier to get admission abroad. So which is okay. I mean, if you're not getting, you can go. But I guess what I would say is you choose the institution, choose your subject first, know what you want to do, and choose the institution wisely, and choose your supervisor wisely, and then I think it'll be easier. The wavelength should be the same, and that it'll be easier. So about going abroad, of course, if you get in the top universities all over the world, there are so many places. It's great, but you should also remember that it comes with a sort of a culture shock, and the culture shock, if you are not exposed to different culture, then it can be the adjustment period can be long, and it can become hard. So it's a choice that you have to make on what is the best option. So I would say India also depends on your subject. There are good places, and of course there are fantastic places abroad, and you choose based on your own mental frame of mind. If you are if you are if you enjoy new environments, and you are experimental in facing new cultures, and you are excited about it, then definitely going abroad is good. But if you are a little bit shy and not very outgoing, then maybe you'll find a more nurturing environment within India, because it's more known and in your comfort zone. So does this answer the question?
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. And I think just breezing up. So for I think no, it's ma'am hybrid. I can just summarize that. So those people, like, it doesn't matter like outside the sector or India. It's like what do you want to do, and India also, like, we have lots of good opportunities here. So and now it's like global collaboration time. So I think
Yeah.
even if I do my PhD in India or something, I can still go to the abroad. I mean, exposure to like for 3 months or like 1 year or something. We have lots of this kind of opportunities out there. So I think if you get the chance, I think it's very good that you take that and expose to the and having the collaborations and the networking, and so very important. And thank you so
Yeah.
much, ma'am, for those very detailed answer. And now I think we don't have much time left. So coming back to the going beyond. So ma'am has been a role inspiring role to the many people. And the Sel Langley, she is now in Korea. She told that ma'am is one of our mentors, and she was happy that we organized, and ma'am is the fastest speaker. And so coming back to this, so I think women in science. I mean, just many of us there are women in science. I think ma'am is one of the. I think ma'am is the only, as far as I know. Probably I may not notice other, but like who is like starting this thing in the cosmology, and I think one of the fast from the women's side, ma'am is the one. So and now I think lots of people are in the field of the science. It's like like from the women. So many of them have told that, I mean, ask me, I'm the only, I mean, I'm the female, so should I continue this, and what happened to my future, something like that. So my question to ma'am is that I think nowadays global time, and it doesn't matter which gender we are now. The most important is that just we follow our passion. So ma'am, you ever as a woman scientist, so what is your advice or tips to those students, especially the female student? Yeah.
Advice.
or I mean, yeah, the suggestion or tips or like that.
Yeah. Well, I would say that my experience, there is of course gender bias. There's no doubt about it. I'm sure all the male participants will also know. So, for example, in college, if we do well, if the women students do well, we were all written off as very hardworking. Okay, not creative or that kind of word creativity and deep thinking and so on. They were not associated with women. So I've had this told to me in my college days itself, that women are supposed to be slogging and hard working, but lacking in the, which is not true. I would certainly say it's not true. Um, so it does become difficult to handle family life, because we definitely live in our society is still biased against women, particularly having full-time jobs, and uh, I mean, we are supposed to take care of the home and so on also. So I would say, if you're which is by itself not a bad thing. Okay, if your preference, if your choice is to take care of the home and so on, that is also a personal choice. But if you wish to continue, I would say you continue. But this is particularly for women. So my journey was also like that. So in college, okay, it was your antenna is not really developed when you are in college, because you don't realize how the system is working, and it is slightly biased against women. um, so this would be in a little bit of these are not directly saying okay, women should not do or something, but there are hints towards you should be taking care of the home, and there are subtle hints towards that. So I think if you, it depends on how strong your motivation is. I'm not saying taking care of the home is a bad thing by itself. It's a personal choice, and I think it is the support of the family. I mean, you choose your partner also wisely, I would
Very
say.
important. Yeah.
So it's important for both. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so
I,
much.
I don't know if I've answered the
Yes, I
question.
think, yeah. Thank you so
This
much.
is a long topic. We can have another session on this.
Exactly. So I think we will also
Must.
we plan to also have organized like calling. We have lots of women scientists from Manipur, and we plan. I mean, we are thinking to have a more open discussion. I think that will be very useful. And also, just once sum up that. So those women, I mean, the future scientists who are watching this. So please, wakan handagano. I think we have lots of opportunities out there, and just try to grab it. And
Especially now, it's
yeah, exactly.
there's much more, many more opportunities now.
Exactly.
It
So
wasn't there in when I was a student.
yeah, I think I also from our I mean participants, one of the Sri Lankan, as I mentioned, she did her PhD from JNU and she's now in Korea, and other I saw many women scientists who is working outside India also. Even from my field, I when I went to conference I met lots of, so there is no, I mean, nowadays there is no difference between the male or female. I mean, even though there is some disparity, but I think if you want to pursue something, you just go ahead and grab the opportunities. This is what
Yeah.
ma'am is suggesting. Thank you so much. And I think don't have much time. So the next, coming back to the like what being a scientist actually mean. I mean, suppose if I'm a very young student and watching this and thinking maybe I want to become a scientist, what should I actually know, and what is the reality beyond the romantic idea of the science or scientist?
Yeah. Okay. Very good question. So I think there is no getting past knowing the basics. Okay, that is the starting point. So whatever it can be, some subject in biology or chemistry or maths, whatever it is, I think you have to know up to MSc level very well. Okay, so that is a prerequisite. And then after that is, I think I have one slide which I will share at the
Yes,
end.
please.
So after that is, uh, Okay. So research actually is people consider creativity in music and knowing music and art and so on, right?
Yes.
But not many people. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong. Not many people know that actually this is research is actually a manifestation of how creative we are. Okay, because we have the rules, science and or maths, whatever. It provides you the some fixed rules, but there is a lot of room for creating within that and to discover new truths. Um, so, uh, so keep your creativity alive, and uh, so how should I say?
Keep
Yeah,
curiosity alive and just follow that
yeah.
things
Keep
and
your curiosity and creativity alive.
yes.
That is what I would say to be successful in this.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I think if what I also would like to add is that, I mean, ma'am has already mentioned. So once we have passion and we want to follow something, and just that we may face lots of difficulty. I mean, life is, I mean, our journey is, if we go very smoothly, I think we won't feel that pressure of getting something when we reach that destination. I think if we have lots of difficulty or something, once we cross those difficulty, and I mean, we will face lots of difficulties along the way, as ma'am was suggesting, saying from the long, from starting, like struggles and the fear and the going abroad, like culture and shock, and lots of things happen. And I think it's beautiful journey, and that's
If it is not difficult, it won't be fun.
yes, that is what and yeah, thank you so much. And next, like, I mean, we want to discuss many more things, but because, I mean, ma'am also we have timing problem. And next is that, coming back to the, as I said before, we will not go very deep into the science. I mean, but coming back as a bit small part is that, ma'am, is the cosmology, which is the study of the early universe, the beginning of everything. So when we think about that, I mean, ma'am, just please, like, in a very easy time, please explain about that. And my question is also that, I think we can, many people ask, like, why we study the cosmology, why we study the astrophysics, why we study the astronomy and the stuff. I think it's also very important that when we bring it to the ground level, I mean, we when we think about the space, our space is so like vast, and it also bring that all of, like, as Carl Sagan was saying, that when we look into that very pale dots art, everything happened and hatred and does anything. So my question is that to ma'am is that, please explain a bit about cosmology, and what, when you think about it, what, when you work on this field, cosmology every day, what makes, how does it makes you feel, what keeps the wonder alive, and how we can bring it to the, overalls in that, studying this is broaden our mind, and those things.
Yeah. So my research basically is a study of the universe as a whole, and in across different time scales. Okay, so if you are an instrument observer person, you will say, okay, what can I observe today, and you can go back in the past and so on. So because of the fact that the speed of light is finite, when you look back, the light that you're receiving that is coming from far away, it is you cannot help but see it in the olden, when it was much older. So my research is about understanding the universe. Basically, I am not very concerned with the individual objects and so on. What individual objects means, we our solar system, and then we have the galaxy. So in my frame, the way I look at it, each galaxy is like a dot, and I am studying how are the galaxies distributed in this vast universe. How are they clustered? Some of them are together. What is their color and so on, and the distributions on that large scale. So this is what I study, and also in different time scales. So my research has basically covered. Okay, it's good to go back from today. From today, you can ask the laws of physics that we have. Can it explain further and further and further back in the past? And associated with going back in the past is the fact that all the material that you are seeing, they were closer and closer together in the past. And so we cannot bypass, in physics, we say a classical world and a quantum world. So you definitely hit a density when things were very close together and so on, where you have to use quantum theory. So my research basically covers I started out in the very high energy or very old universe, and basically studying. Now my interest has been changing over the years, like I would say old wine.
Yeah.
You mature as old wine. So my interest started with the quantum world, but then I have been getting attracted more and more towards low rate shift, closer to us and so on. And now the latest is that I am studying galaxies and maybe supernova. So with Langland, we have studied one galaxy, and we have studied Crab Nebula, which was a supernova that exploded in 1,000 years ago. So that is that's what I do. Sorry. So what did you exactly want to know about my research?
I think I think that's very important. I mean, next
Okay.
time I think we can go more deeper into the science, but today most of focus on the journey. So I think I want us to want to continue like the conversation, but as we don't have much time, so I will just finish with one questions, or and then ma'am can share the slide as you said, and then we can take some questions from the audience. So as I think ma'am was already mentioned from the starting that research, like when we say the research, so it is not very, it's very fun when you do it, but we may face lots of difficulties, challenges, and there is the fun part when we achieve something, we forget everything. That what forget means that whatever challenges, but at the end when we get the results, so that's that kind of I don't know how to say in the words, but
Indescribable feeling.
yes, that feeling, I think that is very very important.
Indescribable joy.
and so many of them ask like, do I need to be topper in every subjects, or do I need to be genius to become a scientist, or to go to this field? And so my last question to the in the general, to the high school student, to the early college, and even those who are something like me, and like who is doing in the early stage of the career, so to everyone, that uh, what I mean, ma'am, like what is ma'am like general advice to that, if you want to pursue in this field in the science, it doesn't need to be in the astronomy or astrophysics as a general science things. So as ma'am already explained many things about at the starting, but as a very summarized as my last question, so please give a very about those who wants to pursue science in their life. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first thing is, do you enjoy seeking answers to these kind of questions? Okay, scientific questions. And if you, so when you are young in school, it's good to have a taste of you solve some problem on your own. It could be maths, it could be physics, chemistry, anything. It doesn't matter. You just think it through on your own. Take during your vacation, take your time and so on. And once you get the taste of that, then I think it is. I mean, it's meant for you. So you are already build the temperament to go for that. So you have to ask yourself at every stage. You have to ask yourself, is this the right thing for me? And you so remember that in the beginning when you are building anything, to come to the stage when you say, I love doing this, there is always a potential barrier. You have to work up to some level. You have to slog through, you have to learn, then only you will know that, okay, you really want to do this. Okay, so you cannot bypass that stage. So I mean, since the question is for starting students maybe,
Yes.
so that is the first step. And of course, this presupposes that you are financially, you can handle, because PhD is uncertain, right? Research is, life is uncertain. So you should be Yeah, you have to be clear about that. Or you manage to get some fellowship and so on. But research, it is worth it. I think it's like the ultimate
Yes.
questions.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And yeah, as I said, I want to continue, but we don't have much time. And so overall, today, like what we can listen is that we got lots of advices and the suggestion from the ma'am. And I hope many of have also they're asking some questions. So before we go to that, ma'am told that ma'am want to share some slides. So
Yeah, I wanted to share one slide. Yeah.
yeah, please do that, and then we can take some questions. Yeah, I'm sorry for taking a bit longer. Yeah.
No problem. Is it coming?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So this is what. So I had one slide for my work, understanding the universe. So I just want people to look at this beautiful image. This is the all the data that was collected by the Sloan Digital Sky Survey, which is in the US, and each dot here is like a galaxy, and we are here at the center of the picture. And so all the visible light that comes to us, it goes out all the way to the edge of this. So in terms of kilometers, it is too many kilometers to say. So just this is the distance from which the oldest light is coming to us. So you can see the blue-green pattern, and these are all galaxies and quasars and so on that we have seen. So sorry to take a little bit more time. So my research is in. So you can see that I'm not really interested in sizes which are like the solar system, right? Each dot here is the size of a galaxy. So I'm interested in what is the distribution, what is the evolution, what are the laws of physics that govern this, and also to develop new statistical tools for data analysis. So this is my work. I think it keeps me excited all the time. I'm lucky. So this is the one that I was supposed to share. So journey in science. So these are the basics that you should ask. So I think every student who is starting out and wishes to take the journey in science, I would. These are the points that I could think of just before we started the chat. So you need to, in general, these are the general things. I think this is true for anything, any subject. It doesn't matter whether you are doing science or philosophy or any other subject. So you should know the basics of that subject very well. So you have to study. There's no getting past hard work and learning the basics. And then I think the next point is, I think observation is very important. Observation means, you talk less and you observe more. That is the spirit in which I'm writing this. So you observe various points that if you observe something that others have missed, and that can develop into a research topic or some new knowledge. Then the subject that you are studying, do you love it? It's important. I'm using the word love because research people are very romantic.
Yes.
So it's important. And if you love the subject, then you should make it your business to learn everything that you can about the subject. Then ask questions to your teachers. So I think, from Manipur, because we are from a small state, poor state, and so on, we are not very exposed, which is including myself. I used to be very shy and unable to speak up and so on. So start with one small question. Okay. So a start is a start, and you should ask questions to your teachers, to seminar speakers, and you can have casual conversations with speakers also. So asking questions is very important. And then you have to learn to sharpen your questions. So learn to question, but be kind and be polite, okay? So we may be losing this politeness in today's world. So but it's important. Then specific to research is, the first step in research is to formulate the question. So you have to learn, the question has to be sharp, because sometimes you can ask a vague question and you'll not get an answer. So the question has to be answerable. So particularly for a research PhD type work, which is very time bound, it has to be very sharp, and you have to outline it in the beginning how I'm going to answer it. So it's important. Then for that question, let that question be the guide, and you pick up whatever skills are required to answer that question. Okay. And this may mean you have to learn AI and analytic calculations or computer programming, whatever it is, you have to do it, and there's no getting past it. Then don't wait for your supervisor. If your supervisor could solve it, it won't be your research problem. You won't be doing it. So keep that in mind. And a PhD research, actually not only PhD, as a researcher, what I am now, the journey is very long. So the question, sometimes you will not find answers for many years. So I personally, just to tell you what I am carrying, one question from around 2010 onwards, and I'm just now writing papers about it. Okay, so it's very long. So you have to have that patience. You have to know that it's going to be long, and it can be painful. Okay, and often very boring and repetitive, because you would have all seen that movie, Panda.
Yeah.
So practice that it's an integral part of the journey, so you can't bypass it. But I just want to quote here, Murakami, who said, "Pain is inevitable. You'll have to go through the pain, but you don't have to suffer. If you put things in perspective, it won't be suffering." And so learn to see the big picture when you are working on various things. There will be small problems you can solve in small time scale, and there will be big problems which are, when I say problem, I mean research problem, okay, which will require long time scale. So it's important to have a big picture, but the details are important. I'm sure you all know that. So both, you have to keep flipping. Your mind has to be nimble, and you have to see the big picture, and you have to see the details. These both are extremely important. Then the third thing is about the networking. So speak to experts in your field. Okay. So I know many of you would be shy. I was shy as a student. But it's important to make effort to get out of that, ask questions. And if you don't meet people, you can reach out over email. You see, most scientists are very happy to get questions on their work. So this is something students will not realize. So most scientists will be very happy to answer questions, because you are expressing interest in your work. And in conferences and so on, you should socialize. Okay, so this is the slide that I wanted to show you. So now I can stop sharing.
This is very, ma'am has summarized everything, and I think this is one of the very important. Also, I think most of us, that is very powerful, and I hope all of us get something from out of that. And yeah, I think as it's summarized, that research or becoming scientist, or like this journey is not very very straight or very smooth. It's like we have to face like many things. That makes our life interesting. Otherwise, if we go to the very smooth things, then it may be easy, but it's not interesting. So
that's the fun part.
Yeah, that's the fun part. And I think that's very important. And as summarized, that if you want to becoming something are very interesting, then you should go ahead. And there are lots of opportunities out there, and asking questions. Like I also tell, when I was undergrad, even though when I don't know the person, I keep messaging them and sending lots of email. And I think this is very helpful, that asking question. We stop asking question at some point. I think if we want to becoming this in science or related, then I think asking questions, not only about we can also ask about journey, how to go to that. I usually do that to many strangers, and they're very happy, and they reply me. And I, even from my own experience, I went to this Tohoku University. I asked questions to some of my seniors who I don't know before, and they help me. So this is how we can. So please stop asking questions, and just polite, and just go ahead. Yeah, that's what. Thank you so much, ma'am. And then as timing is very, it goes very. This is very interesting, and as Einstein said, especially theory, that when we are doing something, the time goes very fast. Is what happening now. And so we will take some questions, and I think many we have lots of questions actually. I think Osis Farouk has been raising hand from the starting. So, okay, you
Eh,
can go ahead. Wise, sorry, Wise, yeah.
Good evening, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, I just want to know that since you were narrating your story coming from the part of the India, I also come from a very part of India, like Jammu and Kashmir. So I just want to know that is there any position available right now as a visiting students program at IIA? Because a few days back I also emailed you my CV and the works that I am interested in
You
your
did? Okay.
yeah. So
Sorry.
and I have not heard from you back like any response, so that's why I just was like very eager to
Okay, that's
ask.
a very specific question.
Yeah.
Yes, IIA has IIA as well as many other institutions. They have a visiting students program ongoing most places. In IIA, just that I don't have too much time to take intern students, and the reason is that I am on too many committee. I'm senior, you see, so I am chairing the theoretical astrophysics group, and I'm on many. I'm heading many programs of the institution, so that gives me less time. But you should reach out to me. There are many others, so you choose the subject that you are interested in, and you reach out to many others. Okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay,
So
thank you.
are you just you are here since you are here? mm, hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Sorry. Never mind.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think well today it's about more general questions. So I think Kristen Mio, sorry if I correctly, ma'am, I have passed my master in applied physics with space plasma as my main. I want to go into the black hole research, especially tidal disruption as modern science things. Do I need to have some knowledge on the programming like Python? Yes, of course, and astronomical data before applying for PhD. Also, could you please guide me on which competitive exams, CISR, or GET, how competitive? This is more on the yeah science. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, there are so many places in India you can apply to.
yeah,
You should apply for GATE. So most of the institutions will have GATE pass. Some cutoff mark will be there. You should clear GATE, and then the CSIR net is also there. You have to have some score. I think the cutoff is 95 percentile. It used to be 98 in my institute, for example, but now it is 95. Or ICTS is, I think, 90, the percentile. So you look up the various institutions, find out what their cutoff mark is, and yes, you need to clear at least one of these exams.
yeah. Thank you. And also, yeah, as you also yes, programming. I think programming is also important when you want to do most on the observation analysis. I think NumPy, yeah, that is Python as model. So I think that's also necessary. I think it's good to know. And yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, thank you. And also another questions I got is Professor Scientist Oige Haina Kantar the high school undergrad master PhD assessing the kari tawage kita hongadage. I think it's already answered, but yeah, uh,
Professor Oige hai baat.
hoy Professor Oige Haina Kan the high school undergrad master PhD assessing sida kari tawage kari hongadage.
Yeah, it's a very
Yes.
difficult question. Well, you should learn the basics very well, which I mentioned. And if you want to do PhD in India, uh, I mean, learn up to choose first. Decide on what subject you want to do, and then you learn up to MSc level extremely well. Then you sit for the various exams. You can get through, or you can, I think, apply abroad. Also, it's good to do some internship program like the previous Farooq was asking. If you do an internship program, I think many of the institutions in India, they faculty members take students for on short-term internship programs. You can go for one of those and get exposure on how research is done. then you see whether you really like it, and if you like it, then you will learn more about it.
Yeah, I think that's very very important. uh, I mean for me also, I did lots of research intern when I was undergrad. I think it's very very helpful to know what you want to do at the very young age. Yes, I think I also recommend, as Ma'am suggested, to the most of the undergrad, especially undergrad or master, please go for the internship during your like summer vacation, or like you can take 1 or 2 months. I think internship period is there more, and even not only India, it's like in the for outside India also there are lots of paid internship. Even I went to some other countries when I was undergrad. I think please take that opportunities, because you will meet and you know how the research, and this is very good opportunities, and not only for you, and also in the future when I apply for my PhD or master, and it helps a lot. I mean, marks matter, but marks is very secondary. But the most important is that how interested are you in the research. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, ma'am. And next,
Yeah.
that one Onkar Salbis asks a very: is it better for early students to deeply understand a few physics topic, or to broadly explore many area before choosing a research direction? That's, I think, very good question. Yeah.
So early student means like starting PhD, or
I think, yeah, probably
depends.
master. Maybe I'm not sure what is he or she is trying to say, but
So I would say till MSc, whatever is the course, you learn everything very well. So that is prerequisite. Okay. So be strong on mathematical physics. Maybe if you are going to do something like my subject, electronics, maybe you can, you don't have to pay too much attention, but it's good. It's good if you know it. Later on, you don't know what you will do. So that is the very basic minimum that you should have. After that, in PhD coursework, also I think you should do all coursework. Uh, try to get an A in all the subjects. So I think now UGC requirement is that there should be coursework for every PhD level. I think it's there all over India. So do all the coursework well, because you don't know what you are going to. Some new idea will spark from something that you have learned before, and you never know what is going to come handy, because that's the fun of research. Okay. So the guide will give you some outline of, okay, let's do this work, but the full steps are not laid out, right? If it is already laid out, it's not research. That unknown is the exciting thing about it.
thank you so
So
much,
I think that's
ma'am.
how. Yeah.
I think we will. The time is like already more than 1 hour, so we will just take in 5 more minutes, because sorry, ma'am, for extending
No
the time,
problem. No
and
problem.
very exciting. We also in the future. I mean, since ma'am is also our very supportive and also advisor of Manipur Astronomical Society, so we will have many other sessions, most on focusing on the specific science and other. So please stay tuned. And for now, we have only like 4 or 5 minutes, so it's very many of them are asking questions. So one from the Deepak is that, ma'am, how hard it is to do research on astronomy after master in the maths? I mean, apply my deep maths knowledge on it, ma'am. Please give very short answer. Yeah, that.
Knowledge of masters in maths.
Yes, and applying for PhD in astronomy. I think that is what he
I
is trying to
see.
say.
Okay. So I know that for sure in BITS in Hyderabad BITS, they have the maths department. They do a lot of astronomy research. Okay, so I think it is possible to get into those programs. I also know that in Manipur University there are several people who are doing in the maths department who are doing a lot of astronomy research. So I think there are places where you can do it. I'm not very sure whether in IIA, in my institution, MSc Maths is taken. I have to check. I don't have the answer for that. But so the short answer is that there are places where
Yeah,
MSc in Maths is sufficient.
yeah. I think now is the time for the very interdisciplinary science. So I think even if you are very want to pursue, and if you have knowledge in the math, I think, yeah, maybe probably if you just know some basics of the physics, you should know the basics of the physics and what you want to do. Then I think, yeah, and lots of questions actually, but we don't have much time, so I will try to skip some of them, and especially the science questions which we will take later. And also Omkar is asking like non-ICER and the non-IIT background, like it is very hard. I don't think it's very, I mean, it's no matter which background you are, if you just work hard, and I think ma'am also will give the same advice, like it's just how much interesting you are, and how like hard working or dedications you can give, and then it doesn't matter which, I mean, which institute or you are from, I mean, yeah. And so one question is that I think it can be the last question probably. It was very insightful talk. I am a master final year student, and I always thought I am into theoretical physics. So I feel safe choosing liquid simulations work on my project work. But the thing is, recently I have feeling of fear of missing out as I visit other labs, and seeing my other friends and senior doing other fields of physics. As physics itself is a vast subject. So as someone who is a lot wiser and experienced person, what will you advise? The last comment from the LP. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So this is an example of a question which is not sharp, because if the question is sharp, I can answer quickly. So but to answer your question, I'm not very clear about you're doing liquid simulations work, huh? So I don't have any knowledge about what goes on in that. Okay. So, but the rule of thumb is you should choose something which has a lot more. As a PhD student, it is safe to choose something which will have where all the problems are not solved. Okay, a subject which is opening up, or maybe halfway done, where there are still problems to be solved. So it is safe to choose that. But I'm very sorry, I'm unable to assess for your this liquid thing whether what is the situation.
Yeah.
So because if a subject is very mature, only the very hard problems will be left. Easy problems are done by others. So if it's very hard problem, then for a young student it will be difficult. So that is the broad general advice I can give.
Thank you, ma'am. And I think
I'm sorry, I don't know much about your subject.
I think many questions. So we will send you a Google form, I mean, later, and if you have questions, you can ask. And when ma'am has time, we can reach out to ma'am. And because it's very hard to answer all the specific questions here, because many of them are from different background also. And yeah, I think it's almost I'm taking more time. It's very exciting, and but I will not take much question. One last, I think I will take from audience, like not reading myself, but if there anyone who wants to ask one last questions to ma'am, please, this is opportunities, and otherwise we will finish it. But is there anyone? Please raise your hand if you have one last question, not very long to answer. Please raise your hand if you have. Okay, Sarah, yes. Please go ahead, Saroda.
Madam, I have a question that
Can you
is
repeat?
not so related, but since nowadays are having so much problem. Okay, ma'am, can you hear me? Hello, ma'am.
It's cut
Hello,
off.
ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
The voice is
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Maybe because of my network issue. Sorry, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a question, ma'am. Like nowadays, I have heard like people are facing lots of problem about the postdoc position. So
Is that the question?
So is it sorry, your maybe network
like
problem?
when we completed about a PhD, to position if there is like limited opportunity of getting.
Sarada, sorry, I mean, it's very
Difficult.
your heart. I mean, maybe if I understand, I mean, great. You means since I know you are doing PhD, so if you want, you are asking that is it very hard to like do postdoc after the PhD? Is that because your voice is cut off? Sorry. Can you just type, or we can go ahead with?
Maybe she can type it, and I can answer later.
Please type it, and we can answer. I will take one from Yaifawa. This will be last. Yaifawa, please go ahead. Yeah.
Ma'am, IIN Sinba Joint Astronomy Program do. Atu ipatang happy.
Oh, JAP, JAP course though.
Oi, ma'am.
Okay, so Joint Astronomy Program is IIA is a member of that, but the headquarter is IISc. Okay, so it is a joint program, PhD program run by IISc, RRI, ISRO, and IIA. In the older days, TIFR used to be part of it, but not anymore because of the physical distance. So this is a course where the coursework is usually carried out in IISc in the physics department. Then after completing coursework, the students can choose their PhD supervisors and move to different institutions, participatory institutions, and do their PhD work. And the degree is provided by IISc. So we get regularly students from there. I have had 2 students who completed under JAP program. It's a very successful, it's a very nice program.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. And yeah, I think we will finish now. Otherwise, we will keep continue. And it's already probably already led there in India also. Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am, and for giving these opportunities. And we are very very grateful for your time. And we are sorry that we are not able to get all the questions from the participant because of the time limit. We wish to have more, but in the future, I think ma'am is, as I said many times, ma'am is our advisor,